Good morning, everybody. Welcome to video 3 of our 3-part series, Pilates for Runners. I hope you've enjoyed the first 2 videos so far, and if you haven't already done so, I would recommend going to look at those ones before continuing with this one. We all know how difficult trail running can be, yet at the same time, so rewarding. So that's why Pilates is so important for trail runners. The importance of activating correctly, getting in that flexibility and mobility really benefit when going out on those trails. Today, we're going to go through a fun sequence focusing on exactly those components. So I hope you enjoy. Before we begin, we're going to have a quick throwback to beautiful highlights of the Otter. I guess we all needed during this lockdown period to remind us of the good times in those trails. So let's take a look. That gets you excited and motivated for this workout. I know it did for me. So let's start standing up. We're going to move to the back of our mats. We're going to take a deep breath to inhale, lengthening through that spine, activating that core, slowly rolling head, neck, and chest down towards the ground. One vertebra at a time, reaching forward to allow your spine to stretch out and into that rounded C curve. You're just going to allow yourself to hover for deep inhale and slowly walking those arms down into the middle of the mat, pushing those knees out to the back of the wall behind you, rotating that pelvis up towards the ceiling. You're going to hold and inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale, slowly continuing walking those arms down to the other end of the mat, and we're going to hold, activating that core. Keep breathing for 5, 4, 3, 2, and inhale, and on the exhale we're just going to drop and hover for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, rolling back up and walking those hands back to the center of the mat. We're going to rotate that pelvis out, pushing those knees into the back of the wall behind us, digging those heels into the ground, and we're going to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, walking those hands back up, keeping those feet as straight as you can. If you need to, you can bend them slightly, just allowing your spine to stretch out. We're going to inhale, and on the exhale, slowly rolling back up. Inhale, and exhale, rolling back down. All the way down to the floor. Walking those hands back to the center of the mat, rotating that pelvis up towards the ceiling, pushing those knees towards the wall behind you and holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, walking back to the center of the mat, holding in that extended plank position for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lowering back down and holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lifting back up to walk all the way back towards your feet and slowly rolling back up, lengthening that spine, walking to the center of the mat. I want you to again, activating that core, lengthening that spine. You're going to imagine there's a little picket fence just in front of your knee, And I want you to open and rotate that hip around and over that picket fence and slowly drop forward into a forward lunge. From here, this is a very important part, so please just make sure that you stabilizing and doing it slow and controlled. You're slowly going to lift up, and then with that activation of the two lower limbs, you're slowly going to lift up and control yourself over and around that picket fence into a reverse lunge. So this is very important. We don't use momentum of the upper body to do the work, that we focus on maintaining that activation and stability while working. So it's very tempting to use momentum and upper body strength, but I want you to really focus on using your muscles to control yourself backwards and forwards, and lifting up and rounding your hips over that picket fence to slowly control yourself back down. And last one, all the way back, controlling, lifting up, keeping here. We're going to stay balancing on that right leg, and we're going to extend into a Superman hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lifting back into that high knee and holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly leaning back into that reverse lunge and holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lifting up, changing over legs. We're going to do that same sequence on the other leg. Remember that picket fence, lifting and rotating that hip up and over the picket fence, leaning forward into that lunge, controlling yourself back up, using your muscles to lift yourself over and around, stabilizing that supporting knee, using core to lift back up and over and around, lengthening through that spine, allowing a stretch into that front part of your hip, and allowing stability and activation in the core and the glutes. Controlling up and leaning forward. And last one, lifting up, controlling yourself over. You want to do it. The key is to do this movement slow and controlled to allow your muscles to do the work. And lifting up and leaning into a Superman hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, controlling back up into that high knee for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, leaning back into that reverse lunge position, allowing that hip to push forward. We're going to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly rolling back up. We're going to extend through that spine and slowly roll head, neck, and chest down towards your feet, keeping those knees straight if you can, getting a deep stretch into those hamstrings, placing hands on the floor. We're slowly going to walk those feet back to the end of the mat And rotating one more time, pushing those heels into the ground, pelvis to ceiling, and knees into the back of the wall. And slowly walking those hands for our final set of our push-up hold. And 5, 4, 3, 2, lowering down and holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly rolling back up and extending right leg off the ground. From here, we're going to, if you're feeling confident, lift that other arm into a Superman hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Extending left leg, lifting other arm and holding for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lowering down and getting into an all fours position. Making sure you're in the center of the mat. I want you to arms under shoulders, placing knees under hips, and we're slowly going to tuck our knees in under our feet and hover those knees off the ground. We're going to hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. From here, we're slowly leaning back and slowly forward. And we're going to do 10 of these. That's 1, core tight. And 2, making sure that when you're leaning backwards and forwards, that you're maintaining activation and stability of that core and pelvis. Keep going. Core tight. Let's do 3 more. 1 and 2 and 3. From here, back into that all fours, keeping those knees hovering. We're going to open clam, but while we're opening clam, we're dropping down. Ready, we're going to do 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Leaning back, dropping knees, and leaning into that rest position. Well done, everybody. So the important part of that last exercise is to allow those hips to open while still maintaining activation in that core and working those glutes. So just make sure you're doing it slowly and controlled. We're going to lift and hover those knees off the ground, and we're going to hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and leaning backwards and forwards. That's 1 and 2 and 3. Keeping those quads activated to maintain that elevation of that knee. And 6, 4 more, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and into our open clam push-ups. And 1 and 2, making sure the shoulders aren't closing in towards your ears. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Squeezing those glutes. 9 and 10. Dropping those knees in to rest. for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last little set of this sequence before we move on. Deep breath in, activating that core, hovering those knees off the floor. We're going to lift and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and backwards and forwards, and 1. Core tight, 2, and 3. Keep going. 4, allowing that stretch in those toes and those ankles. 5, halfway. 6, 7, and 8. 2 more. And 9, and 10. Getting ready for those open clam push-ups. 10 quality ones. And 1, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9, and 10. Back in, knees down, and back into that rest position to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. From here, we're slowly going to lift back onto all fours. We're going to lift our left leg up into a 90-degree angle, and we're going to just lift that right heel towards that right glute, pushing those hips forward, and we're going to hold, stretching out those quads we've just used for 10, 9. While we're doing it, if you can, pushing those hips forward, tucking in that pubic bone under your chin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly leaning back and rotating to the other leg and holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're slowly going to turn over onto our backs, making sure that your feet are a foot and a half away from your glutes. Your knees and ankles are fist width apart, drawing your scaps down the back, sucking in that pelvic floor. We're going to inhale, and on the exhale, slowly roll your hips up towards the ceiling. 1 vertebra at a time. Remember, this is a slow, controlled movement. As you're doing so, you're activating those glutes and that core. And inhale, and exhale down. We're going to do 5 of these, getting back to neutral spine, rolling that pelvis, lifting those hips up towards the ceiling, squeezing glutes, digging heels into the ground, and holding, and inhale, and exhale down. We've got 2 more, getting back into that neutral spine, and slowly rolling back up. And rolling down. Inhale and exhale up. We're going to stay in the air for this one. Lifting those glutes as much as you can towards the ceiling, digging those heels into the ground, opening those hips by emphasizing that activation into those glutes. We're going to squeeze, maintaining that hip height. I want you to slowly open your knees away from each other and pulling back in. You really have to work extra hard to maintain that hip height, because as you open those knees, there's going to be a tendency for your hips to want to drop. Just make sure they don't drop. Opening and closing. We're going to do 8 more, and 1, and slowly back in, and 2, and squeezing and slowly back in, and 3, and 4. We're halfway to 8, 5, 6, 7. Last one, we're going to open and hold for 10 seconds. 9, squeezing those glutes. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bringing those knees in, extending right knee into tabletop, and we're going to hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lowering right knee, lifting left knee up into the air, making sure those hips are aligned, and holding for 10, drawing the shoulders into the ground and scaps down the back. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lowering that left leg, lifting those hips to slowly roll back down. We're going to get back to neutral. Inhale, exhale, rolling back up, lifting those hips towards the ceiling. Keep going, everybody. We're going to squeeze those glutes, and we're going to lift and extend the right leg up towards the ceiling, and you're slowly going to point your toes and lower your leg down towards the floor. Then you're going to point your toes towards your nose and lift that leg up towards the ceiling and down. When you're coming back up, I want you to focus on lifting as high as you can to allow a stretch in that right hamstring when you're lifting up, while maintaining an activation in the left hamstring when you're going down. So keeping that all tightened together, maintaining a good control and posture. We're going to do 3 more of these. Inhale up, exhale down, and 2, and 3, and back to center and holding for 10, 9, aligning those knees. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to tabletop, dropping that right leg, lifting that left leg up towards the ceiling, pointing as you're lowering towards the wall, and pointing your toes towards your nose as you're lifting towards your ceiling, and down, and up, and down, and up, and down. Let's do 4 more, controlling as you're going. That's 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, aligning those knees to hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dropping that leg to tabletop, lowering it down, lifting those hips to slowly roll that pelvis back down. We're going to do 1 more set of open clams before we progress. We're going to inhale, and on the exhale, slowly rolling hips towards the ceiling, squeezing those glutes. We're going to make sure that that pelvis is tucked in towards that chin, drawing shoulders into the back, keeping those hips aligned and maintaining that hip height, and opening those knees away from each other. That's 1, and squeezing 2. We're doing 10, 3, core tight, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and squeeze and open, and 9, and last one, you're going to open, keeping that knee hip height. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
2, 1. Slowly bringing those knees in, lifting those hips to slowly roll back down, getting into that neutral spine. We're going to activate, lengthening and lifting into that tabletop position. We're going to place both hands on the right knee, lifting head, neck and chest off the ground, and we're going to extend that left knee and lower it, and then we're going to inhale, rotate. That's 1, and extend. 2, 3, we're doing 6, 4, 5, keeping that head and chest off the ground. We're going to get back into tabletop, placing 2 hands on each knee, and we're going to round those arms while we extend those knees. And 1, 2, 3, 4, making sure when you're extending, you're sucking that tummy in. 5 and 6. 2 more, just for fun. And 8, and lifting up to slowly roll back down. Right leg down, left leg down, arms in a T position. We're just going to rock from side to side. We're going to rock twice on each side. We're going to get straight back into it. I hope that core's feeling warm and ready for a deep burn. Back to center, arms on your sides, lifting legs into that tabletop position, placing hands behind your head and interlacing them comfortably and lifting them up off the ground, lifting that head, neck and chest off the ground. We're going to inhale, and on the exhale, do double-legged toe taps. And 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 5, keep that head, neck and chest off the ground. 6, 7, and 8, and lifting a little bit higher if you can. You're going to rotate your left elbow towards the right hand side. Inhale, center, exhale, rotate. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and placing hands on your knees and extending. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8, and slowly lowering head, neck and chest down, right leg down, left leg down, placing your feet slightly larger than shoulder width apart, arms in a T position, and you're just going to rock from side to side. And 1 more towards the left. We're going to do that set 1 more time. Feet back to center, arms on your sides, right leg up into tabletop, left leg up into tabletop. We're slowly going to interlace those hands behind your head, lifting up, and double leg toe taps. And 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 5, making sure when you're going down that pelvis is stabilized. So you're really working hard to suck that belly to the spine, not flaring those ribs. And let's do 2 more before we do our rotations. Lift a little bit high if you can. Inhale, exhale, rotate towards the right. Inhale, center, exhale, left. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, making sure that back isn't arching, and 8, and placing hands on your knees and extending and circulating those arms. 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8. Let's just do 2 more for that challenge and that burn. 9 and 10. Slowly lowering head, neck and chest back down. Right leg down, left leg down, arms in that T position, knees and ankles together, and just rocking from side to side. 1 more on each side, then we're going to turn over onto our sides. Well done everybody, I hope you are managing. Let's all get onto our left hand side. I want you to place your feet almost interlaced around each other, and I want those ankles to be in line with your hips and your hips to be in line with your shoulders. From here, you are going to just make sure your hands facing out that way so you're not putting too much strain on those wrists. You're going to activate that core, and you're slowly going to straighten those knees, lifting those hips off the ground and extending your hand over to the side, allowing a stretch in that right hand side of your body while maintaining an activation in the left. And you're just going to reach and rotate slightly and back to center, and we're going to do 5 rotations. That's 2 and reaching, 3 and 4 and 5, and slowly rolling back down. We're going to get those knees in line with each other, head, shoulders, hips and knees all in line, extending that right knee, lifting those hips up off the ground, placing other hand behind your head, and you're going to hold for 10 seconds, making sure you're not hyperextending that lower back, so tucking in that pelvis. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and into knee tucks, and 1 and 2 and 3, maintaining that hip height, and 4 and 5. We're doing 8, 6 and 7 and 8 with 8 lowers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, and slowly bending that knee to slowly roll back down. We're going to place our elbows onto the ground, and we're going to do that same sequence with elbows on the ground. So placing hands on hips to make sure you're activating, lifting those hips off the ground, extending and holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and bending and extending that knee to chest, and 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6, 2 more, 7 and 8 with 8 lows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Bending that leg to slowly drop those hips down. We're going to turn over onto the other side. Keep it up everyone. I hope you're getting a nice burn into those glutes. We're going to prepare for the next movement, interlacing our feet around each other, ankles, hips and shoulders all in line, core nice and tight. We're going to extend those knees to lift those hips off the ground, reaching and stretching over, and you're going to rotate and stretch for 5 and reach 4 and 3 and 2 and last 1 and 1, and slowly dropping back down to place shoulders, hips and knees all in line with each other, getting ready to lift back up into that extended side plank, extending that leg, placing other hand behind your head and knee tuck. 1, hips forward, 2 and 3, keep going, 4, 5. We're going to do our 10-second hold after this one. 6 and 7 and 8, and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lowers. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Bending that knee to lower it, slowly lowering your arm down to the ground, placing that elbow on the floor. We're going to do that same sequence with that elbow on the floor. Last little push, everyone, lifting those hips off the ground, placing other hand on your hips just to make sure that you're keeping that activation, lifting up, slight forward rotation of that upper hip, extending and holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and bending that knee in, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, 2 more, 7, with those lowers, and extend, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 more, 7 and 8. Bending that leg to slowly lower it down and turning over onto your back, placing right ankle on left knee, hugging knee to chest, and holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly rotating those feet, placing left ankle on right knee, and holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Placing both legs on the floor, placing arms up towards the ceiling. Slowly going to roll yourself up into a seated position, and we're going to get into an altered lunge. In this position, we're going to tuck those pubic bone up towards our chin, pushing hips forward, leaning into that front knee, allowing a stretch into that hip flexor. And we're going to hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly leaning back, lifting that other heel towards your glute, allowing a stretch into that quad for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly extending that leg in front of you, leaning that chest towards your knee, and you're just going to hold, allowing a stretch down the back of that knee. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rotating legs, lifting that right leg up and leaning into that front knee and holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Leaning back, lifting that heel towards your glute and holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Extending that leg in front of you and leaning down into that knee and holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That was session 3 of our 3-part series, Pilates for Runners, in collaboration with the Otter. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun putting those sequences together. They are sequences that are beneficial towards the needs of a runner, and I hope you continue doing them because they're going to get you nice and strong, ready and prepared for those trails after lockdown. If you like this video, hit that like button, and if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button.